Going live with our third map in just a few moments as soon as the players drift onto the server. They are all in spectator at the moment. I guess they're taking a short break or something like that. If they take too long about it, we might take a short break ourselves just before this decider map in the upper bracket semi-final. If you haven't seen the brackets, they're available on teamfortress.tv or comp.tf. They're being updated in both of those places fairly regularly. And it's going to be Gullywash, the decider map in the upper bracket semi-final between Mike+5 and IsF. Do you have any predictions, Stark, for how this is going to go? Who do you think is going to make it through the upper bracket?
Well, I was watching the previous games, just kind of wasn't giving them full attention, but I was kind of glancing at them, and all I really remember was huge air shots all game. Like, for some reason, there was about 6 air shots hit on process or something, which is, I hope the trend continues on Gullywash, but I have a feeling... Actually, I'm not sure. Which demo do you think was outperforming the other on process?
It's difficult to say. On process, I'd actually say that Renew had the upper hand, frankly, but it's an interesting. Fragger had the upper hand, not Renew. Renew plays for 403. I think Fragger had the upper hand actually over Mike, which is really unusual. But I think. I'm not sure really whether that's due to more miscommunication and Mike not playing well with his team. I think Mike definitely has the DM advantage and really should have the overall demo advantage, but it really didn't work out that way on process.
Yeah, it is really a battle of the demos, like which demo can output more damage on Gullywash since it's such a demo-heavy map. And I have a feeling with Mike's huge experience on these old maps, because he used to play 10 Pug 2s a day back when it was active. With his huge amount of experience, I think he will, or at least he should, walk all over IsF. But if he's not been playing well recently, at least not to the standard we expect, then I think it's going to be a really close game. So I'm going to say it's been fairly slow games recently, so I'm going to say 3-2 to IsF.
Yeah, the games have been a slightly slower pace. We've seen some incredibly fast-paced action before that, when previous teams have been facing throughout the bracket, really. And this has been really the only slow-paced fixture that we've seen. It's been very back and forth, but it has been slightly slower paced than the other fixtures. Both teams giving the other a lot of respect and not really playing too openly aggressive, just not taking too many risks. I get the feeling that Admirable's calling shining through there for Mike+5. He knows when to push and be really aggressive, but he's also a fan of really reining back on it and not putting his team in too much of a bad situation. So yeah, I agree that Mike should walk all over the team, and certainly with his much quicker rollouts, I would imagine he will be able to arrive at mid on Gullywash and put down so much damage on that big door area that he will completely deny them on middles. But on process, it may have been a factor of him not synergizing with his team very well. It may have been a factor that IsF had it in their game plan simply to shut Mike down completely, because that is what they were doing on a lot of the middles. But either way, Mike really got outplayed by Fragger on process, so it will be interesting to see how it actually does turn out on Gullywash. None of the players are coming out of spec as far as I can tell, unless my STV has completely crashed. Is that the same with you, Stark?
Yeah, it's just Crochet sitting on. Is it Crochet? I've kind of heard lots of different pronunciations.
Yeah, I pronounce it as Crochet, but I have heard it pronounced Crochet, Croce, Croquet, Croak, Croach. Goodness me, who knows how it's pronounced? I mean, we could ask the guy himself. It's some kind of Italian, so the Croce. That's how I always imagine it.
Yeah, well, we'll see on this mid, because a lot of teams, they make the mistake on this mid, lower skilled teams, of not putting enough pressure on the enemy demo if he rolls out his own choke. And it's kind of like a scout's job to just, you don't necessarily have to rush him. You just need to kind of make him aware that you're there and he can't kind of push into your team and just lock them out in big door. Kind of just show your presence a bit and make him fall back. And I'm curious as to whether these kind of inexperienced scouts will actually do that, or if they'll give Mike loads of room to destroy their team.
It will be very interesting to see how they deal with that. They did well dealing with him on the previous map, but it's slightly different this one. It's much easier for a fast demo man to put down a lot of damage, as you say, very early on in the mid. And if you're tagging both of those soldiers as they come in through the big door, it can really put a halt onto the mid fight, compared with Process, where you really have to go a long way across the mid fight in order to get out some early damage. The teams have informed me that they took a 10-minute break. They've just come back to their PCs, so they will all just be slowly filtering onto the server and getting things going fairly quickly. They have taken a 10-minute break, which I'm not going to begrudge them for, because they have been playing now for, what time is it? 13 hours now. So I'm not going to begrudge them a 10-minute break now.
And I'm more impressed by the fact that you've been casting for this whole time. Have you casted every single map?
No, I did take a few breaks. Ryushi took over a few, and TurboTabs as well took over with Gex for one as well. So I have had a few little breaks. I'm not pulling an Admirable. Admirable at InfoShow LAN in April did cast the entire thing, hosted it all on his own, just drafting in whoever he could find. I remember Mirrorling casting a game alongside Admirable, Bool casting a game alongside Admirable, which actually was pretty good. Bool's a fairly decent caster. But yeah, he was really drafting in whoever he could find. For this event, we're slightly better organised at TFTV. We do have a spread of casters, although the only person to actually disappear and require us to use our emergency caster was Ali this morning, whose internet did completely die. He was very apologetic about that. He was supposed to be taking the morning shift, but yeah, nothing we could do about that. But we did manage to cover all of those early games and get everyone some screen time. I think every single one of the teams got at least one map casted, and they were all fairly decent games. So definitely, if you didn't catch this morning's stuff, the VODs will be posted. They'll be on the Twitch channel, as well as probably being put up on some kind of YouTube, possibly TFTVs. It depends if we cut the VODs very nicely, because this has been such a long event. They might not be cut the smoothest in the world. If you have joined us, we are talking about our TFTV coverage of the beta TF2 LAN, which is currently going on in Kaunas, Lithuania. Both of these teams have made it through the upper bracket. None of the teams being knocked down so far, but that is what this map is here to decide. Which team is going to get knocked down to the lower bracket first to face 403. 403 now have had a break for about an hour and a half, so they're either well rested or getting a bit out of practice. I don't know. Who do you think will have an advantage going into the lower bracket finals? The team that's been playing constantly, or the team that's had a long break?
It depends how long they've been playing, like how intense the games have been. I mean, sometimes if you're at a LAN and you don't really feel that comfortable and you haven't played for about half an hour, it feels like you've never used a computer before. But then if you've got that LAN hype, even if you've been playing all day, it feels like you're far better on LAN than you are online. So I guess it kind of depends on the players, really. Like, for example, me, I feel great on LAN. After like 8 hours of playing, I'm fine to keep going. But these players aren't very experienced, so I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. I can imagine that if Mike+5 get knocked into the lower bracket, their morale will be almost shattered, and they'll find it very difficult to get their way out of there. 403 did lose to IsF 5-0 in the upper bracket, I believe that was. Yeah, they haven't faced each other in the lower bracket at all, because IsF haven't been down there. What on earth am I talking about? They did. IsF did beat 403 5-0, 5-0 on both maps. They were fairly long 5-0s, but nonetheless, they kind of stomped on them. So you would expect either of these teams to be a bit of a step ahead of 403. So they really need to pull something out of the bag if they want to be able to get back out of the losers bracket team, the Enigma Zone crew.
Yeah, I've been really impressed by to the later stages on process, Nookie, and by Rock, he was playing well since Badlands. They've definitely been keeping their team in it. I'm not sure what's going on with their soldiers, because I can't really tell the problem. I guess it's just synergy. Like, no one's playing badly, but I guess Mike and his soldiers they're not working well as a team, so like Mike doesn't have the space to do damage, and because Mike's not doing damage, his soldiers don't have space to get kills. So it's kind of like a loop of disaster, really. And it's what lost them the second map, as they narrowly took the first map.
Yeah, it was interesting to note, actually, that they, with regard to Mike+5's soldiers, Evoke and Croce, they spent the entirety of the tournament up until this game running Croce on Roma and Evoke on Pocket, which was working fairly well for them. I mean, obviously they were playing against lower skilled teams, so they weren't properly tested, but it seemed to be working out fairly well. They had decent synergy, and they have Evoke on that crucial pocket role, kind of defending Mike and being able to back him up. And then they just have a battering ram of a combo and some great scouts and possibly a semi-weak link with their Roma. But it really doesn't make that much difference, in my opinion, when your scouts and your combo are playing that well. The difference being that for when they came up against IsF, certainly on Process and possibly even on Badlands, I'm not sure, they switched over their soldiers. So they had Evoke running Roma and they had Croce on Pocket, and I feel like one of the big problems on Process particularly was that at every opportunity it seemed like Admirable wasn't being properly pocketed. Properly pocketed. Now, whether that's a fault of Croce or whether that's a fault of his scouts, I mean, is a bit of a matter of debate. In different situations, the responsibility falls to different players to pocket the medic. But certainly I think there's a bit of a problem there that needs resolving, and I don't think that putting Croce on the pocket and Evoke on Roma was the best thing to do, because it has left them in that bit of a vulnerable position.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I guess they know best, or maybe it was just Evoke was saying, "Oh, I'm not having fun on pocket. Let me roam for a bit."
Yeah, very possible.
Then either it didn't work out, or it could just be they felt things weren't, even though they were winning 5-0, it felt like things weren't comfortable enough and they might struggle against ISF, so they decided to switch things around. I guess we won't know until after the game when we can ask them.
Yeah, and we'll definitely bring them in for some interviews afterwards, after this game against ISF in the upper bracket semi-finals, which we are hoping to be going live with very shortly. We currently have 4 players from each team on the server, with 2 in spec as well. So we're still missing 2 players on the server. Hopefully we can get them in fairly quickly and get this show on the road. In real time, there are 11 players on the server, so they're still waiting for 1-2 minutes from now. So we will be waiting for just a little while, but we hopefully won't be waiting for too long. What do you think about the decision of running Nookie on Sniper for a lot of the game? They had that on Process for a fair amount of it, and it didn't particularly work out for them. Do you think they would have been better running Nookie on Scout?
No, I reckon Nookie really should be playing Scout, because they have such a strong flank. They should... For example, I'll come up with an analogy, which is... are you okay there?
Oh, sorry.
A bit of background noise coming from your mic.
I apologise, I was holding down the wrong button.
The analogy being, like, Cookie, back when he was in Broda, he could snipe really well, but it wasn't worth him sniping to take him away from playing Scout, because his Scout was so strong that although his Sniper was good, it wasn't worth switching him off. And I think it could be the same for Nookie as well, because the flank on the ISF team looks like they could be exploited by Nookie and Rock. So I think Nookie should stay Scout, but he might just feel like playing Sniper because it's fun.
Does that change between maps? Gullywash, a map where you can snipe on basically any point. Does that make a difference as to your judgment of whether he should play Sniper or not? Should it be situational, or would you keep him on Scout the entire time?
Oh, obviously he can change off to Sniper if he feels it's appropriate, but for example, sniping to process mid, I saw him doing. I wasn't sure if that was a regular thing, or that was just because he thought the game was over. But you have to be a really, really good sniper to snipe to process mid, and it just didn't work out for him. But if he's willing to snipe to process mid, I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of sniper to gully wash mid.
Yeah, it's possible actually. I didn't actually catch him rolling out as sniper to the mid fights. I was more focused on the other players, but an astute catch there, and we'll have to keep an eye on him to see whether he takes matters into his own hands and tries to come up with some hero plays on the mid fights, because that's really what it falls down to. Instead of having some coordinated play, you're kind of putting the responsibility for how the mid fight goes all on one player, and while the rest of the team is working to bait people into sightlines and possibly play a little more passive and still get frags, a lot of the responsibility is going to be on the sniper to hit the shots and make it worthwhile.
Yeah, definitely. And since Mike+5 or +5, they kind of expect to win because they've got the like individual player skill. I'm surprised that they go for this kind of all or nothing strategy of running a sniper to mid, because you are literally relying on that player to win you the mid. But if I were them, I would just think, well, we've got more skill, just run cookie cutter to mid and we should win most of the time.
Yeah, possibly a little bit of a lack of confidence. I said that they were giving IsF a lot of respect, especially on Badlands and then again on Process. I thought that they would be playing a lot more aggressive, just allowing their raw DM to shine. Rock and Nookie, I was expecting just to run all over people paired up with Mike, with the soldiers just both, maybe even running gunboats, just making room for the combo of Mike, Rock and Nookie. But that isn't what we've seen. We've seen some very slow, methodical play, which really favours ISF over Mike+5, but you get the feeling that Mike and Admirable and co are the ones who are dictating the flow of the game, which is odd. We have gone live though, Stark, and we are going to be going to our decider map, Gully Wash, in this upper bracket semi-final between Mike+5 and ISF. We are going to our first middle. Mike's really not putting out too much damage on that big door, and Fragger going to be the... Fragger going to be putting out as much damage as he possibly can, sitting in some rollers now. Entire gets up on the nipple in an attempt to get some room. Mike riding a rocket forwards as well, and the health advantage in favour of Mike+5. But now the frag's coming out. Everybody dying to a little flank by Gus, and some nice damage coming out from Fragger as well. It's a 2v2 situation actually. Evoke bombing in, tries to get onto Backart, but Entire manages to sail him out of there without any problems. He might actually be distracting just for Croce.
Yeah, Entire playing it a bit risky there. I mean, he knows there are two enemy soldiers alive, and it's just him and his medic, and he just kind of walks through. If he'd missed that air shot, his medic probably would have forced, and this second point would look a lot different than it should be about to look now. And it looks like they're making their way towards choke. Yeah, they're pushing through choke. They're playing quite slowly. They don't want to pop here, but wow, it seems like they're just gonna... Mike+5 are just gonna let them into second.
Nookie, Rock and Croce are actually going for a backup or a play on Big Door, and the combo's backed all the way out. This is really odd play by them. It's like a complete lack of communication again. Nookie and Croce are now coming back through the Big Door area. Croce actually picks up the frag onto the Demoman, which is pretty lucky, really. But a fairly decent timing. Backart not able to save him. The Uber is forced as well, so really odd play.
Yeah, Mike+5 are definitely very lucky not to get more punished for that than they should have done. They had half their flank was either dead or in a useless position, and they still had an Uber advantage. But unfortunately for them, ISF couldn't work anything with their Uber. And now Mike+5 are looking like they're going to push through this big door with Uber, and Nookie gets dropped immediately. That's not good. Not a good sign to lose your scout that early, because they need this time on the point. And ISF, New's trying to approach last. Oh no, he's thinking better of it. But he's going to be flanking the second point, and if ISF push here, this could go disastrously wrong for Mike+5. And here they go, they start bombing in, and wow, it's just a hail of frags for ISF. Not enough time on the point. Admirable's going to go down really late into the fight on mid. No!
No, you're seeing it the other way, Stark. It's the other way around. A brace of frags came out from Mike+5. They did get the cap time that they needed, and they actually managed to secure a ton of frags onto ISF as well. Backout managed to escape barely with his life and did get an Ubersaw kill, which was so clutch. Absolutely ridiculous, and then got the Uber, but and actually almost saved the point. They are going to be able to recap second here. That was crazy stuff coming out there. A real clutch play from Backout.
My head just got completely turned around there. No idea what's going on. But the Uber will come out from Mike+5 for real this time, and Backout gets taken down, and it should be an easy cleanup. And all they have to do is watch out for any kind of backcaps. But actually, Admirable gets taken down, and this is getting a really scrappy, this fight. And somehow ISF are getting the better of that. I'm really surprised. I mean,
yeah.
like, what?
Entire and New had all of the high ground, and they were able just to rain rockets down without Mike+5 being able to really do anything. Fragger kind of got ignored as well, but I feel like they're really pushing this a little too far. No, they're not. Mike and Nucky didn't have time to get out of spawn, and they are going to be able to pick up that first round. I thought they'd overextended there. I really thought that Mike and +5 were going to be able to hold it, but they're not. And that's the first round going to come out for Backout and the ISF crew.
Backout's actually running crits to mid, which is interesting. So see how that's going to work out. As Mike decides to go choke again, he's doing decent damage actually, and you can see it in his eyes. He wants to go forwards, but he needs the space from his soldiers. And wow, New gets completely demolished by an air shot and a scout, and easy mid. But the crits Backout, he's not been building it too well, and he's got no one to crits on. So I'm curious as to what they're going to do here. Obviously, they really want to force out Mike+5 and then be able to use their crits on them afterwards. But I'd be surprised if they could do that. It's all up to Admirable's.
Admirable's reaction times completely let him down, and the big drop. Actually, they lose Backout as well, so it's going to be a 4v4 situation, actually. But it looks like ISF going to get the better of it. They're so weak, though. A lot of the players incredibly weak. Maybe if Evoke and Nucky had committed there with Croce, they could have been able to get that. But just before the spawns from Entire and Backout came in, it might have been worth them trying to commit there, but they didn't. And ISF are going to be able to hold on to the point. They are running a defensive sniper as well. Wow. Admirable's reaction times really letting him down for another Uber drop.
Again, flashbacks of Crack Clan. This is it's kind of the running joke of Admirable not having the reaction times as he gets on a bit. You know, when he played for Crack Clan quite a few seasons ago now. Oh, he's a bit rusty, you know, we'll let him off on that one, but obviously not too bad for them. I mean, they did lose their advantage, but they're still holding second point, and if they hold passively a bit, they should be able to get another attempt on this last point.
They are now running a defensive heavy instead of that defensive sniper. Cookie cutter lineup coming out from Admirable and his team. Rock, the only one really far forward in lower lobby. Everybody else kind of outside, slowly moving towards the Riverside area now. It looks like they want to go forwards into lower lobby with Mike. They are going to try and catch out New on that balcony area, but they're not going to manage it. And it looks like they want to come main. This is a pretty dangerous. Oh, Croce actually goes in before the Uber. Really odd play by him and the rest of his team here. Nucky surely going to get picked up. No, Gus not really doing as you would expect. He does actually manage to pick up the frag on Nucky eventually. And they're going to be getting a frag onto the other scout Rock as well. Both scouts down. That's any backcap attempt completely halted. And there's an opportunity here for a push. But Gus has not respawned onto scout.
Yeah, Fragger seems a bit too focused on backcaps that he's not actually doing the damage onto the enemy combo, and the Mike+5 combo just walked back in and stopped the scout capping the point. So they need a bit more coordination there for someone to watch a big door so they could actually get cap time on second point. But obviously didn't really lose much from it. It's equal Ubers. Now they just need to watch out for a bomb, and actually they're getting really aggressive, Mike+5 are, and they don't have the Uber yet. They're only 85%. But Frag's getting traded out and Backout goes down. That's really important. As long as Admirable can dodge. He's running out into basement. He's trying to link up with Mike, but... And Croce is distracting well for his medic there. And Mike wants to try and do something,
Oh god, Mike came in using the distraction. He thought that he could make things happen, but he didn't have Admirable with him. Admirable would have had the Uber there and possibly been able to use it on him, but a bit of a lapse in communication leads to Mike being dropped. But never fear, Admirable did get out there, dropped down to 25 health at one point, but he's going to have a big Uber advantage to push into last. Let's have a listen to the team comms and see what they're up to.
I'll come from the stairs.
I'm gonna watch real soon.
Got it Uber early.
Focus top.
Uber me last. Flash me.
Point sticky.
Heavy down.
Good point.
There's a soldier behind us. He's weak. Nice!
Well played.
Come on.
What a clinical team push there. The comms and the general atmosphere just vastly improved from the end of Process. Don't know whether you caught the comms last time, Stark, but they were absolutely abysmal. Dismal and abysmal. So we are going into our third middle. The atmosphere, the momentum in favour, really, of Mike+5. Entire going to be bombing up on that right hand side, but Croce taking it forward as well. Croce gets absolutely destroyed by the pocket of Entire, but Entire now needs a lot of healing. The frag's coming out here. Fragger doing a lot of damage. Nuki and Admirable the only ones left alive, and Nuki's caught in. Admirable's not going to be building. Nuki does manage to trade with the roaming soldier, but if they manage to push this all the way to last, Admirable is not going to have his Uber charge. They know that he hasn't been building. They may not have enough players to take this to last yet, though, but they have a little time window that they can use where Admirable won't have his Uber. This is what I would be gunning for. I want them to be going forward really quickly here, but they only have 10 seconds in which to do it, even less as the timer ticks down. They are going to be in an Uber v Uber situation unless they move within the next few seconds.
Yeah, this is the difference between kind of really high-skilled teams and their more intermediate teams, is they take so long to push. I mean, like the Uber comes out from Mike+5 and Entire and Sneaks get taken down because they were just committing so hard, and it took ages for them to get the Uber force out from Mike+5 because they thought they were going to be going up against Uber, but because it took them so long, now Mike+5 have a chance to push out, and Mike's just doing free damage onto the second point, but they're not getting the cap time.
And that's because Fragger has stickied off Admirable into lower lobby. Fragger on big door completely locked Admirable out, so everybody from oh bugger, what are they called? Mike+5, that's the one. Everybody from Mike+5 that committed onto the second point had no heals, and they all took so much damage and went down. I'm going to give that round solely to Fragger for his excellent job controlling area, proving that you don't really need to do tons of damage in order to be effective as Demoman. Area control is just as important. So a really good job by him just to separate people off and secure that, and it's 2-1. We've got a game on our hands, a bit of a momentum shift again the other way, and we are going to be going on to our fourth middle. I'm going to be watching Mike to see what he can do, because he really needs to step it up. A vote went huge, but does get picked off straight away. Croce down as well, as both of the soldiers out. Mike and Admirable and Nuki really want to be getting out of there, but it looks like they still want to commit. They just want to help Rock, but Rock's already thrown his own life away. Mike's going to get caught in here as well. The frags are going out. Actually, Nuki was doing fairly well, but unfortunately that is going to be a complete wipe. They just stayed in a little too long there. I felt that as soon as Evoke and Croce went down, the mid is lost. Guys, you can't revive it. CPR ain't going to work.
The mid was lost straight from the beginning. I mean, what I was talking about in the pre-game was the inexperienced scouts wouldn't pressure the demo sticking big door. Well, it was actually happening the opposite way than I thought it would. Like Rock and Nuki, neither of them focused Fragger at all, and he just walked in and did loads of damage. But it looks like Mike+5 are trying to contest this point, actually. And Backart's just left. He's just sitting back at his own choke, and it looks like he's screaming at his team, "Please don't leave me." They're pushing it to second, and well, I'm not sure this is worth holding onto this Uber for. He's surely going to have to get forced soon. They're just losing player after player. That was he shouldn't have held that Uber. Look,
no.
Now they've got 3 players up and they're going to lose mid.
They're going to lose mid here unless they use the Uber charge, and if they use it, it's going to be in a terrible situation. So the best play right now would just be to hang on to their Uber, to use it on second, or possibly even to push back into mid once it's already been capped. They are not going to wait though for the... Oh no, they are going to wait for their Demoman spawn. I thought Entire really wanted to go there quickly and block the point, but they are just going to allow things to reset. It's going to be Uber v Uber, and yeah, as you say, they really should have committed more with that Uber charge. Actually, now they're coming in. I think they've mistimed things a little bit because they are going to be dealing with an Uber v Uber situation. Oh, everything going wrong for Bakar. He drops his pocket and his demo man. I was singing his praises before the game. He's absolutely dribbled right now. That was a poor play.
Yeah, definitely a very poor Uber exchange, and it might allow Mike+5 just to move straight onto last with... Although they've got these recent spawners, Mike looks like he wants to push straight on, but he's going to get shut down a bit. And they're going to have to wait for an Uber charge. Although, in fact, last time, they pushed on 85% and it was very successful. So, let's see what they're going to do.
It is going to be equal. Uber's Entire gets the pick onto Rock, but does manage to trade as Mike picks up that frag. They're running a defensive engineer and a defensive heavy. The Ubers are going to be equal as well. I feel like really ISF got away with murder there. It was looking so bad for them, but they just managed to stabilize the situation and take it back to a bit of a stalemate. But depending on how this Uber exchange goes, as they do pop down through main right now, but it looks like Mike+5 are not going to be able to get any ground here. The sentry does stay alive. Nuki's through water though. Nuki's going to be on the point. Nuki is going to make a play for the point right now. Gus is going to drop down as long with Sneaks. The sentry is also going to be firing to take down Rock, who's just and Croce. Why do they keep running into sentries? Mike+5 have really got a problem dealing with these sentry guns. They did it on Process, they're doing it on Gully Wash, and Sneaks is making them look like an idiot.
Yeah, also, the sentry distracted Mike long enough that he couldn't actually get out of the fight as well. So, not only did it get 2 frags by itself, it also got a 3rd kill because Mike was kind of stuck because of it. So, I don't know what they're playing at with these Uber trades, but they just can't take down the sentry. And
ridiculous situation.
IsF should be able to take this mid. I mean, Mike+5 are in a horrible position, and they've lost Mike, and they're going to lose Evoke also.
Croce in for the bomb. He's going to take down Bakar. It looks like he's just hanging out on that bottom area as well. Might be able to take down Gus there. No, he doesn't manage it, as all of the frags go the way of ISF. Apart from the medic pick, the medic is on the opposite team at the moment. Admirable, the only one to stay alive, and Bakar really the only player that ISF dropped. So the Uber's going to be slightly in favour of Admirable, but not an overly significant amount. 30%. It's possible to push out from last with 30% Uber advantage, but you've got to be fast and you've got to be clinical, and I don't know whether Mike+5 really have the team synergy to make it work.
Admirable survived the last push, right? That was like 2 or 3 minutes ago, and he's not even got Uber yet. He's only on 90%. He's just his team spawns around him, and then they all die for some reason, and he's kind of left alone. And wow, he's actually got quite a decent advantage. It wasn't looking that great earlier, but I don't think Backart's been building so well. But
yeah, I can confirm that it was 2 minutes until Admirable got his Uber charge there. It took him 2 minutes to get his Uber.
And Mike+5 are pushing in, and Backart's going to have his Uber soon. And oh no, he's not. He's on his own. He's doing an Admirable. He's completely isolated from his team, and he's only just getting Uber now. But his demo and his soldier have died. But in return, Rock has been taken down as well by Guz, and the Uber gets forced out from Bakar. But this could be really bad for Mike+5 if a few shots can be landed onto Admirable. He does go down, and Bakar should just be back out here and building the Uber.
Yeah, Bakar has backed out and he has met up with the rest of his team. It was clever of them and smart of them not to commit too much to that last point, because they were in a bad position with all the spawns coming in from Mike+5. But it was a great situation to be able to just pick up Admirable and leave instantly, which is exactly what they did. They sacked a few players for the pick onto Admirable, and they've engineered themselves a 40% advantage. They're just going to be sitting outside at the moment in that position that Fragger loves to hold. He's very good at holding that, and they are going to have the Uber charge up in a matter of seconds, but they've let Mike and Nuki through. It looks like they want to proactively push into the Mike+5 before they get their Uber charge, secure off the second point so that they can't push last and have to use the Uber to retake second.
I like this idea, but from Mike+5, and it's very successful, pushing before the enemy team gets the Uber, but I don't like how ISF just let them cap. Like, they had the Uber, they could have contested, and now they are coming in to contest, but Admirable, oh, he's made it out into lobby. He could smell which way the wind was blowing, and he's made it out on 78%. But if ISF just storm in, Admirable gets taken down immediately. Really well played from ISF, and it should be an easy last point.
Yeah, IsF read that situation very well, even better than Admirable did. Admirable knew which way the wind was blowing, as he said. I love that little phrase. And he got out of there very well, but it does get completely chased down and didn't have enough players around him in order to defend him. We are going to our 5th middle as well. I'm going to be watching Fragger and how the scouts, Nucky and Rock, deal with him. Fragger actually getting a bit of damage there, but Nucky looked like he pressured him fairly well on that mid-fight. Slightly different to last time. Sneaks is going to be pressuring down Croce and does get that pick. Everybody from ISF so weak. Back out actually goes down to Rock and Nucky, who sync together on these mids. Was that an air shot?
Yeah, a mini one, but he got demolished. And like that was perfect from, was it Nucky who was pressuring Fragger? That was exactly what they needed. I mean, look at that, full wipe to nothing.
Yeah, that was perfect play by them to completely take Fragger out at the beginning, and then a flank from Rock to take out the medic, and that's the two most important classes negated in that mid-fight completely. And they're going to be pushing in now with a full advantage onto last. Well, in a matter of seconds they will be. They're going to be facing Sneegs on Pyro, a Gus Heavy, and a Sniper. The Sniper not going to do anything, so Entire the pocket. Oh no, Entire gets Mike! He was just Ubered, or not Ubered for a split second, and he does get the pick. And actually, the frags all going the way of Mike+5. Despite that, Fragger, the last one, really left alive. Back out the medic, respawns on Pyro in a desperate attempt, but is not going to be able to do it. The score, 3-2, in favour of ISF at the moment, but 11 minutes left. Definitely the potential for Mike+5 to come back in it, and they are only 1 round behind.
Yeah, I'm going to watch Nucky, see what he does this mid, because he played really well last mid, and that early pressure really won his team that mid. But he's opting not to do it. But I think Fragger's scared now. He's sitting back. He's just playing really defensive. But there's an opportunity to go forward for both teams. Like the midpoint's completely unoccupied, but it looks like Mike+5 are just picking up all the frags and storming across the point. I think someone got behind from Mike+5. Suddenly everyone on ISF just turned round, and then the rest of the team stormed into them.
Yeah, and the only player that was surviving out of that was Sneegs, and he's going to be setting up his sentry on last. Entire is going to be running a Sniper again. The pocket switching to Sniper. We've seen it a few times actually. Entire is confident in his sniping ability. That's the only reason why you do something like that. And Admirable, still with the full Uber advantage, is going to be able to pressure this into last. Can they wrap it up 3-3?
Yeah, and the Uber comes in from Riverside, and the sentry is their nemesis. It's still not gone down. It finally goes down, but ISF, everyone from ISF is so far away from the point that they can't even get to it in time, and Mike+5 just cap it off to make that 3-3 with 10 minutes remaining. And Backart's going crits to mid. So I want to know what Fragger can do against this scout, because he's actually rolling out Big Door, which is interesting. And he's moving up right side. He's trying to move up right side fairly early, but he's got no pressure from his soldiers, and he can't make it up there. And yeah, this is looking very grim for ISF right now. The health is just appalling, and Backout's out. Oh, he's going for crazy arrows from Big Door, but actually Backout's trying to come to choke to help his scout. This is all over the place, and he actually Gus makes it out with Backart's crits, but they won't have an advantage, and Mike+5 is just busy dealing with this pesky scout who's got behind him. And will be Sneegs. He's on Riverside, and surely he's going to go down. He gets taken out by Nucky, but the crits gets popped off from Backart and on no one. Fragger's just laying stickies on every single choke, and it looks like Mike+5 want to come through Big Door with this Uber. And Mike jumps in really aggressively to try and block that point, and the Uber gets forced off. Entire goes down, but it looks like ISF are doing pretty well here, and they do have a scout behind. He will go for this back cap, I assume. This is Guz. So he must be communicating to his team. All they need to do is block the second point when it goes down, and look, he's starting to back cap now, and they're not going to get back in time. The soldier falls below point instead of capping. Oh, that was a vogue. That was hilarious. That is costing his team that midpoint, and Mike should go down at choke here because of it. Surely. He's dancing around second. Yeah, he finally gets him down. And that's a very late death from Mike, and this is going to be 5v4 on mid. Surely IsF are going to want to push with this fairly large crits advantage. They've got no sticky to worry about, so they can just take space. Maybe they want to crits aggressively on big door.
They look like they're moving over to big door to crits aggressively, but now they're moving back to choke. It'll be interesting to see what happens here. Admirable and Evoke just around the corner. Can Admirable's Admirable's reaction times do get him. Oh, but Backheart slipped out through the drop down. He has used his crits, but he's got out there very sneakily, and so the sum total of Admirable's Uber v crits is that they got entire Backheart actually very weak right now, getting pressured by Mike. takes a bottle to the face and is now getting pressured by New. Oh, but Mike's DM coming out very strong there, hitting pipe after pipe, and as the rest of the team help him out, for the most part IsF has been cleaned up.
Yeah, Mike+5 are pushing on to last here, and I like the idea to change to heavy. That's a really good idea because they know they're going to try and non-Uber push this, and the heavy is pretty much the counter to that. But he switched off heavy. He actually changed from heavy, and that was the perfect class to play. But wow, that was a really close fight. Sneeg's left with 6 HP and Entar coming from the spawn.
Yeah, that was just so close. It was ridiculous. Eventually, it does go the way of IsF, but it was just by the slightest little amount. You feel like even if Admirable got out of there, but if he'd committed, he might have possibly tipped the balance in his favour and secured his team the round, but it just wasn't a risk that he was willing to take. He would rather keep his large Uber advantage, which is at 60% at the moment, than risk it in that kind of a close situation.
Yeah, and I'd say that's definitely the good call to make. It's such a close game. I mean, now he took away the chance of kind of being a hero and winning the round for his team, but now he's got 50% Uber advantage, which is really what they need to push, and they've got a much higher chance of winning this. And the sentry goes down. Finally, the sentry goes down early, but Mike gets just crushed. He's not being supported by his team, and again, all the frags are going IsF's way. 50% Uber advantage, they don't get a single frag. So wipe from Mike+5, and Fragger looks like he wants to get aggressive and start sticking this spawn, but nah, he's too slow. Definitely not making Hiss proud there.
And my TF2 has crashed. What's going on?
And somebody peeked from the spawn door and I tried to shoot them, but they backed off, the spawn door closed, and he just killed himself on the closing door.
Oh, that's brilliant. Brilliant play there by Entire the pocket.
But it's the 3v3, and Backheart just gets flanked by Nookie, and Nookie's doing huge damage here. And it's going to allow Mike+5 to take this second point. Again, it's very back and forth, but not if Entire has something to say about it, but he does get killed. And Fragger was Fragger's spawn camping, and he takes down Admirable and Mike.
Oh my goodness, that is ridiculous. He takes down the Demo Man and the Medic there for Mike+5. That's ridiculous play.
I officially have no idea what's going on in this game, but I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, it's entertaining to watch, if nothing else. And yeah, Fragger coming out with some big kills there to secure his team, and Uber heals and player advantage. So big plays from him. Mike's not content to leave this though, but he's completely overcommitted. He's just, I feel like he's getting a bit frustrated and really wants to make plays happen on his own and just can't make them happen, and is just leaving his team in a worse situation.
Yeah, Fragger gets taken down, but he takes down his killer with the post-mortem pipe, and looks like IsF should be able to take this point, although the health's not looking too great. But look, they've got the 20% Uber advantage. I'm curious if they're actually going to use this. Actually, I'd say 20%. It's getting quite significant.
It is. It's more like 30% at the moment. It's 25 at the very least. I'm going to switch over to comms to see how Mike+5 are going to be able to defend this.
Don't stand here, Rock. You're not gonna do anything.
Uber.
Go close,
Cut
Rock.
in.
90.
I mean with the solid.
Someone block the point.
Is this what?
Jump.
Not the point!
Alright, okay. Hold close with the pyro, Rock.
There was a scout man coming.
There was a scout man coming. The scout man was coming. He actually did a fairly decent job blocking them. I mean, he blocked them away from Admirable. The problem was that they had nobody there to commit to blocking the point. So I think a little unfair that Rock gets the blame for that. But they have made it 4-3. ISF taking the lead here as they go into the 8th middle, and they've got such position on this mid.
All Fragger did that mid was just sticky big door, and the combo couldn't even come into the mid fight. That's how dominating he was. But Backup does get taken down by Rock late in the fight. He will get finished off himself, but it's good for Mike+5 because now they have the opportunity to re-push this mid fight with the heals advantage. And in fact, they've got a demo behind them on second point, and I'm not sure if they're aware.
I think they do know, but their heads are turned towards second point, and Fragger manages to get out through the big door. That was ridiculous play by Rock. I don't know whether you properly caught it, but he was the only player in. He was literally the only player in. Everybody else had left through choke, and the rest of the team was so focused on keeping the rest of Mike+5 out at choke that they forgot to turn around and deal with Rock, and Rock killed their medic. He had at least 5 shots to be able to kill him as well. A bit of poor play defending their med, but the Uber charge is going to come out around that bottom area. The Uber advantage gifted to them by Rock is going to be totally wasted. Not a single frag apart from a pipe onto Entire. Now Cruncher gets the Pyro actually, so this is looking slightly better for them. They're getting the frags now. High ground advantage for Evoke. Only Backout and Fragger left alive. Backout goes down and Fragger the last one to die. They have brought this level of 4-4, and I want to see their comms as they move into this deciding round. Only a minute left.
Interesting comms.
I'm going to drop down. This tag team, dude.
Go on the left.
Soldier under. They're
I'm under
taking lots
choke,
of
I'm under
damage and choke.
Soldier drop
Soldier.
down. They're focusing me, choke. Five,
Soldier down. 2 scouts
down.
again.
Get a medic.
That's weak, guys. Not.
It's 4-on-4. We're losing scouts. Yeah.
The demo is
Med check
67. 67 the demo.
You want to play for the
67,
golden cap? 30 seconds. Scout on me. I'm dead. On my elbow.
Nice.
Medic's gonna have it soon.
It's 24 seconds.
Medic.
Nice! Nice!
I have energy.
They are so hyped to keep themselves in that golden cap with the frag there on Backhart. They knew it was going south for them as soon as Admirable said, "Do you want to play for the golden cap? Oh wait, scout on me, I'm dead." So at that point they knew it was not going well. But the frag from Nuki onto Backhart just keeping them in it, and with 1 second remaining, we are going to be going to a golden cap. Our deciding map going to a golden cap in the upper bracket semi-final between Mike+5 and IsF. Just delaying the time before one of these teams is banished to the lower bracket to only come back after a tooth and nail fight against 403. Who's going to take this golden cap?
I honestly can't say, but if Fragger can do his thing where he just locks out big door, honestly, there's nothing Mike+5 can do apart from possibly roll out choke, and one of those old school American things to do. But they need more pressure on Fragger because he's just locking out the entire team.
Yeah, they really need that pressure on Fragger, like we saw from Nuki a few mids ago. He was able to nicely pressure them, and it led to a wipe from ISF, and that would be the absolute perfect position for Mike+5 to be in after this golden cap goes live. I imagine we're going to be going live very soon, so let's quickly have a look at the logs of that game and just see who needs shutting down. Oh my goodness me, 13k damage coming out from Mike, but he's dying a lot more and getting fewer kills than his opposing Demo Man. What do you think about that? What do you think about the Battle of the Demo Man on this map?
I think a lot of Mike's damage it's not useless damage, but it's not being it's not useful if you know where I'm coming from. So Mike's doing the damage which his team needs to follow up on. It's not like useless spam damage. It's genuine useful damage, but his team's not picking up the frags. So it's kind of
wasted damage.
Yeah, it's not even relevant.
Yeah, damage that hasn't been utilized on at all. Damage that just gets then soaked heals and everything returns to normal. So yeah, I agree, and I think in terms of which Demoman's having a bigger impact on the game compared to their teams, I think Fragger is actually carrying his team a little more than Mike is at the moment. Fragger are really having a really big impact on this game compared to the demographic on his roster. Whereas if Mike was completely taken out of the game, I think they'd still manage to survive just by relying on their scouts a little bit more.
And
Who haven't had a bad game.
Nuki's had a fairly monstrous game if you look at the logs. I mean, 8k damage, which is 1.5k more than the next highest scout, 27 to 19. That's pretty impressive. Like 275 damage per minute for a scout.
It definitely is, yeah. And he hasn't been running sniper once the entire game, which is interesting to note.
Maybe it was just the kind of, oh, let's have a bit of fun crushing these scrubs. I'll go sniper loads, and then realise, oh no, we're not winning. And decided to change back to scout.
Yeah, I mean, that's quite possible. That could well have been what happened. That would lead to a big drop in morale. I don't think we actually saw that big a drop in morale, though. Whenever we went to the comms during this map, they did seem a lot more positive than they did on Process. I think they've come to terms with the fact that they're roughly the same skill level as ISF and shouldn't be expecting to roll them. And they're just trying their hardest now instead of getting all disappointed about not being able to win outright.
Yeah, but we've had a very entertaining game to watch. I mean, it's got everything: air shots, medic crits drops, spawn camping.
Admirable. Yeah, the spawn camp was ridiculous. That was so strange. I don't know how he even got in that position, but he did, and he managed to pull off the med and the demo. And that's the two players on that team who you'd expect to be the most aware of the possibility of being spawn camped. I mean, Mike obviously got great game sense, and Admirable as well. It's not bad. He normally knows what's going on, but neither of them predicting that.
Well, I can honestly say that's never happened to me, where we're capping second, we get forward spawn, and then we get killed by stickies. So I can forgive them for not predicting that one.
It was a very odd situation to be in, yeah, I agree. Just having a look at the logs as well, Rock was taking a bit of flack whenever we went to the team comms. I think he's just the guy that everyone loves to shout at. But he also didn't have a great game. I mean, he went 19 for 27, pulled out 5k damage as well, and generally didn't have the best game of his life.
His heals were fairly low. I'm not sure if that was just because he wasn't building, but I mean, he did get the least heals by quite some margin of all the scouts. Like, all the other scouts were on 4k, like 4 to 5k, and he was on 2.6k.
Yeah, do you think that's a good thing? Do you think he's doing a fair amount of work for the amount of heals he's getting, or is that a bad thing because he's not playing around the heals and not being able to fully utilise his class?
Well, having low heals is just an excuse for that scoreline, but it's if you're a low heal scout, like I was a fairly low heal scout back when I played flank scout, but it would just mean I played really passive and didn't die and just make sure we weren't getting flanked. It's not really acceptable to be getting really low heals and also getting 27 deaths.
Yeah, that's a good point. So Rock really needs to adapt to his role in the team if indeed that's the team's choice not to be giving him so many heals. If it's his choice just to avoid the heal beam, like I love to do whenever I play the flank, then that's really the problem is with him, and he needs to sort that out. It does seem like the teams are going to have a good chinwag over the results and see what they want to change for this golden cap. They are only just starting to ready up now, and it's been a good 5 minutes, something like that, since the results came in for this map. So are you expecting any major changes? Do you think they've got specific things that they can sort out in the space of a few minutes in between it?
Well, I assume right now Admirable's saying, scouts, do your job, we can't get into mid through big door, and I'm expecting there's going to be some aggression on Fragger, at least either from a soldier or a scout. And
well, let's see if that happens, as we have gone live. Yeah, and Nuki's getting the pressure on Fragger, and Fragger's unable to lock down that big door. Nuki actually hasn't lost that too much health for it either. Entire getting the first frag onto the pocket / roamer, I don't even know what he's playing. And you are so high up in the air, he does actually crater, but he trades with Rock. 3 up only. Oh, but Backard does crater as well. So they've traded medics there. That's possibly a good situation for Mike+5 to be in. Mike actually might be using the distraction of Evoke coming in here to try and deal some damage. They're going to be getting the spawner of Croce as well, But with a vote going down, Mike's going to be bailing out of there a little bit. He's actually still fairly far forwards. Hopefully not going to get caught out there, as both of the Uber charges have been negated due to the medics going down at mid. So they're just going to be equalized here. Actually a slight Uber advantage for Backout just because he met up with his team a little quicker. But it shouldn't really come into play.
Yeah, if Mike could see the floating health bars that you get in the tournament spectator thingy, he would have gone in there, because they had about 200 health in total, like all 4 of them. He would have stormed back into mid, but unfortunately that's the advantage we have being in spectator.
That's the advantage if you're hacking like we are with all of these plugins. But we can confirm that Mike is not hacking. And
Correctly's hiding in big door, but actually he's been found. The standard kind of hide above the door frame, but I've not actually seen that spam spot from the soldier. So it's just going to be another stalemate. See what the backup and his team can do with this Uber.
yeah, let's see. We have arrived at a little bit of stalemate, but it's interesting to know that Evoke and Mike not particularly holding very close on the choke point, just wanting to bait Backup and the ISF team in through choke into those stickies from Mike perhaps. But they are now holding close, so just a slightly different hold. Not really sure what the thought process was behind that, but both of the teams still just posturing around these choke points. Neither team particularly wanting to commit, exchanging a little bit of spam. Neither team particularly getting the better end of it, but the heals are slightly better for ISF. Not really enough to push on, but they could certainly transition some of those good heals over. But no, a big bomb in now, and gets absolutely destroyed. New getting hit by an air shot, then a direct pipe. New absolutely gets rinsed there, but they do just trade in Evoke, and the Uber has been popped up from Admirable, so Evoke really just gets dropped in that Uber exchange. Mike not able to force out the Uber properly. Oh, and he does go down.
Nookie's changed to sniper, and a scout was standing still, and he like scoped in on his head, and then for some reason flicked his mouse away and shot and missed. But,
that's so unfortunate.
So
Mike, did Nookie go all the way back to spawn to change to sniper there?
I think they assumed they just hold back and bomb their own ring repeatedly, so they thought, I'll try and get a pick, see if we can push up it. But his team lost choke just as he managed to get back into the fight, so it was kind of useless. And now, ISF are kind of in the driving seat here, holding top lobby. And now they're just waiting for Uber, and they're going to try trading a few times. But I'm curious if Admirable is aware of this Uber advantage. I assume if he is aware of it, he knows it's too small to push off, because they're just sitting on last, just waiting.
They actually look like they're prodding out into upper lobby at the moment. Evoke kind of leading a prod with Mike on balcony as well. Everybody, literally everybody from ISF is going to be holding outside right now. Nobody inside, which is a really interesting position. They must have known that they had an Uber disadvantage as well, and they're just playing so safe. They really don't want to throw this golden cap away. This means a lot to them. This is to decide a map in the upper bracket semi-final. They do not want to be going down into the losers bracket, because then they have to play another map. They don't get a break, and they're going to be going into the grand final completely unrested. Ghost is going in, trying to pop it out of Admirable. New in as well, and that's a nice hold from Admirable, because New was going in so quickly there. You couldn't really react if he'd thrown a rocket out.
Yeah, and as we've seen from the crits, he probably wouldn't have reacted anyway. But Mike+5 pushed through basement into big door and trade off the Uber, but Mike's not going to have any ammo after this Uber exchange, so if they decide to push him, he's completely screwed. But I'm liking the cap time Mike+5 getting on this second point. As soon as the Ubers were off, ISF realised there was no chance they were going to block that point and decide rightly to back up to mid.
Yeah, they have just equalised the situation around mid. A very slight advantage, but nothing worth talking about at all. But transitioning over to big door here, they're putting all the heals there and their combo just to see if they can get a super fast pick. They can't, and they've just backed off. So a nice little play there from Mike+5 to see if they could catch one of the flank players unawares. But they didn't quite manage it. Only Crutcher and Nookie actually holding the choke at the moment, and they've been bullied out of there. So Mike and Admirable, too slow to rotate back up to choke, decided just to hold the big door, and that's allowed people in. Poor play by them perhaps, but the Uber charge is actually used as Fragger tries to leave. This is not a good situation for ISF to be in. They've traded roamers as well on the flank area, and thankfully they've managed to get out of there. alive and with the health fairly decent. So a 5v5 situation, nobody pushing.
Yeah, it was a smart decision to pop there from Bakar. I mean, like he knew he'd have a really bad Uber if he did pop, but if he didn't pop, it would have been even worse. So he made the best he could, and his team managed to make it out, still holding mid. So worked out well from how bad it seemed. They first started to try to push through that choke.
Yeah, they made the best of a bad situation by popping the Uber off there, and it's just returned to a 6v6. Bit of a stalemate situation. You can see the as the stakes have risen, so has the tension and the pace has dropped, as both teams just very content to sit around waiting for the perfect opportunity to push here. IsF Croce going down.
Fragger pushes through, gets a frag on the Roma, and their Uber isn't lasting as long, but they've got a pick, so they should want to push here. And
they were just trying to bait them back into big door, and now that the Ubers have been cancelled, they are going to be able to push in 6v5 through this big door. Fragger getting a lot of sickies down on that lower door, but Mike's going to pick up a frag on the Roma. Gus trying to get aggro on him, but does get taken down, and now they're one player down. I feel like Fragger is committed way too far at this point, as Nucky is also onto Bakar. They just stayed in that fight a little too long.
Yeah, the Mike+5 team was stranded, but they just won out the fight with better DM. You could see Admirable was lost and confused when he couldn't get out into lobby, and just kind of sat with Mike and Choke as Mike hit everything and won the fight for them. And Guz is kind of stuck out here, and he'll get taken down as well. So it's 2 people down for ISF, and they should be rotating to heavies and engineers and pyros right now, because they should know that Mike+5 are going to be wanting to push as fast as they can.
Yeah, Sneaks has put himself on that pyro, but they are a little late. He's actually doing a good job of negating any damage that Mike was trying to put out onto the team. He goes down though, along with Guz, and it's a 6v4. The Uber from back are not even going to come into this, as they're getting a lot of cap time, and the golden cap is going to come out. ISF are going to be so disappointed after they pushed them to 3 maps and a golden cap in the final decider, and still Mike+5 prevail.
Yeah, New's going to be gutted at that one, because he did so much damage on that last defense. If only he could block the point, he could have saved that whole round. He bombed in and got about 600 damage with 2 rockets, but just wasn't enough in the end. And Mike+5 are going to the upper bracket, and ISF are going to be playing. Who is it?
It's the Enigma Zone Crew 403 edition. They've already met them before, and we'll be meeting them again in the lower bracket finals, but this time they get to pick their own maps. So if it was a matter of Badlands and Snakewater not quite being to 403's taste, they get an opportunity to pick some ones that more favor them. So it will be interesting to see how that runs out. That is the lower bracket finals between ISF and the Enigma Zone Crew 403 edition, which are going to be happening pretty soon. The winner of that is going to be facing Mike+5 in the upper bracket finals. I guess the advantage that they have going into that is that Mike+5 have had a bit of a break. They are going to be a little better rested compared to the winner of ISF and 403, who are going to be soon picking these maps. So we will try and get you that map info as soon as possible. Shall we have a look at some logs, though, of that golden cap? It really lasted long enough for the logs to be interesting.
I just want to point out that Entai got more frags than his entire team combined. So that's something. Neither of the Red Scouts on ISF, neither of them got a kill.
Oh my god, that's shocking.
Or it's not as shocking as it may seem, because although it was an 8-minute long golden cap, it was also, the entire thing was just a stalemate, so it's nothing Scouts can really do.
Yeah, fair enough.
Because Rock got 2 frags and Nucky got 1, so they're only 3 frags behind.
Goodness me. Yeah, but not quite working out how they wanted it to, that golden cap. They just lost it at the end there with a bad Uber exchange, which led to them losing a lot of players, but they were in it right till the end. And ISF, though, because this tournament is double elimination, do have an opportunity to come back into this, as long as they manage to prevail against 403 in the lower bracket finals. But 403 are not going to give that up without a fight. We will be back with some Team Fortress TV coverage. I hope you've enjoyed what we've given you so far. We'll be back with the lower bracket finals, then the grand finals in just a moment. We'll go to a short break while we figure out what is going on and who we're going to cover and when and how and why and with who. And we will be back with more coverage of the beta TF2 LAN 2014 powered by Zowie Gear in just a moment. Hello, we are going to be swapping over our streamers just in a little while. Just before the next thing, we are going to be getting interviews as well. We will be bringing in some of the players from IsF and the players from Mike+5 to get their reactions on that game and how close it was. But just before that happens, we are going to be switching over our streamers, because dashner has put in an absolutely mammoth shift. We're going to be going back to Suyo on the camera as we bring you more coverage on Team Fortress TV. Big shout out to dashner for providing coverage of this Lithuanian LAN all the way from Canada as he joins us in the UK covering the Lithuanian LAN. It's a jumble of nationalities, but we're gonna make it work here to cover the Lithuanian beta TF2 LAN powered by Zowie Gear, and GG well played. So we will go to a short break again, but this time the stream will go down for a few moments until it is restarted by Suyo. And then we will be going live with some interviews. We will be going live with the lower bracket finals between ISF and 403. And then we'll be bringing you the grand finals as well before the night is over. The night is still young, viewers. And we are ready to bring you some great action. So again, the stream will be going down. Do not panic. It will be coming back up momentarily. Thank you.